beautiful people. My name is David and I'm joined by Abe and a very special guest, Andy O. Welcome to the Redox Cinema Podcast. And wow, guys, what a dang movie. As you guys can tell from the title, we're doing a John Wick Chapter 4 review. And wow, what a movie. And before we get into the review, Andy, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing all right, man. Let's get into it.
Abe, how you doing, man?
Good, bro. Good to have Andy on the podcast. You can bring this, by the way, like close to you if you want to lean back
Move it
a little
around.
bit.
Yeah,
Oh,
you got
okay,
all
okay.
freedom over here.
Say less.
Range of motion, all that.
Say less.
Yep.
What a
So,
day. All right, yeah. Wow.
I'm good, bro. Ready to talk about this this movie. We got John Wick on the set.
Yeah.
We got light-skinned John Wick.
So before we get into the episode, this is my brother, Andy O. Very close to me. Grew up together. Basically, he's my older brother. That's what I know him as. And he is a die-hard John Wick fan. He is the one that introduced me to this franchise, and it made sense to.
That's true.
Yeah, you're the one that
I didn't think
introduced.
of that,
And he was the one that, and I think it just made sense to have him on. And Andy, your thoughts. But before we get into all of that,
Let's rate this.
Abe, can you read what John Wick was about for me?
Yes, sir. All right. So John Wick uncovers a path to defeating the High Table, but before he can earn his freedom, Wick must face off against a new powerful enemy with powerful alliances across the globe and forces that turn old friends into foes.
Sheesh.
That's a good description.
Wasn't it good?
You wrote that?
No.
No.
I was gonna
I
say,
know you
Google.
wrote that.
They should have hired you, dog. That's-
No.
All right, y'all. What a freaking movie. And you guys know how we do our reviews. We'll go with our ratings, do a quick rundown of what we thought about it, what we didn't like, and then we'll go into a spoiler talk. And I want to get to start with Andy O.
By the way, I'm really curious to know what you think because I don't think we've talked about the first three.
We have not talked about the
You know what I
first
mean?
three.
So
No.
like this is my. I'm also gonna know what you think of John Wick in
Yes.
general. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if you didn't like the first three and then you watch today, your rating right now could be like, bro, that shit was, you know. So
Mhm.
one.
Yeah.
But,
I know
like, you know what I
mean?
mean? I have no idea what to expect. And from AB as well, I have no idea what to expect on any front right now. So my rating of this movie, I would say I'd give it like, you guys do out of 10, right?
Yes.
So
You can
I'd
add
say-
decimals.
You can add decimals, you can fraction.
Yeah.
I gave this like a 7.
Wow.
A 7.5. I was trying to think of the decimal. 7.5.
All right.
Yeah.
Reasons as to why you giving it a 7.5.
Actually, before you do that, I want context if you can rate your highest of the franchise and like what. That
Well,
rating is.
here's the thing. Like, my 10 to me is like a perfect movie. I'm doing like movies in general.
Okay, in
not
general.
out of
Yeah,
John
Cool,
Wick
cool,
yeah,
cool.
series.
yeah,
All right,
yeah.
cool.
So
I'm with
out
that.
of
I'm with that.
movies as a whole, anything a movie could offer, it's a 7.5. And the John Wick series is probably like a 8 point something.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Why? I just think it was a good, well-rounded film. I think they took their time in terms of the pacing of the movie, which benefited it a lot. You know, I personally like longer movies. I don't know about you guys. I don't
Yeah.
like if I see like an hour, 10-minute runtime, I'm
No.
checked. Like,
It depends on the type of movie for me.
depends too. If it's like a Pixar movie, right? Like,
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think it paid off having like a 3-hour runtime. The highs were really high. You know what I'm saying? Like the highs were spectacular.
And what were the highs for you specifically?
Without spoiling, the action, of course,
Mhm.
the pacing once again. Keanu Reeves, I think, is just the perfect John Wick, right? Like I don't think you could have got any other guy. I don't think anyone
You'd
else
say it's written for him.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I don't think they wrote it for him though, if that makes sense. It's one of those magic moments where it just
They
it
found the
worked out.
actor and it just worked.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they did like a spin-off like James Bond, right? They pull in another James Bond every few
Mhm.
years. They couldn't do that with John Wick after Keanu Reeves' performance.
Fair.
So I say that yeah, the action was a high. There was moments that were lows. We'll get into it, but yeah, man, that was a roller coaster ride, bro. I love that movie. That was great. But it's not a 10 out of 10, right? It's not perfect. It's not like there's
Okay.
nothing that could have been
So you
improved.
can check your bias at the door even when you're rating
Yeah.
the film,
Yeah,
which I
I'm
appreciate.
pretty
Yeah.
objective. I'm pretty objective.
It really is.
I like that. I like that.
Wow. What about you, Abe? How are you feeling about this?
You going to me?
Yeah, because
Okay.
so context, Abe just watched the entire franchise, right? This week.
So this is
Had
fresh.
never watched the
You
John
know
Wick
what?
film
I'm
in
not
my
gonna
whole
lie.
life.
That's probably the perfect way.
Yeah, I low key think so.
Because when I watched it, I got to watch I got onto it right before 3. So I did exactly what you're doing, but for 3.
I just did that with Creed. So I had not seen a Creed movie.
And then you watched.
And then I watched the first 2, and then I went and watched Creed 3.
How was that experience?
That experience was dope, honestly. Like it first of all, my memory is shit. So like sometimes I'll be watching a movie and then I'm like, yo, what the hell happened in that last one? So watching it all in 1 week is helpful for my memory to be like, all right, I know who this guy is, I know what he did, I know why he hates him, why he wants to kill him,
why they're all connected.
So I agree. I think this was the best way for me to watch it. So with my thoughts, I'm going to preface this by saying that action movies in general are not really my jam. And not to say that I don't like action in movies, but like when action is the main backdrop of the film and the main genre that's kind of there, it's not really what makes me want to go to the movies. Subjective, right? That everybody has their own thing. I like I like thrillers, I like psychological things, I like dramas, because I like relationships and seeing how people play off of each other. With that being said, and I really love like when you can see actors like shine, right? Like and bounce off of each other.
It's about the performance of the actor.
Yes. I'm a sucker for that. I'm a sucker for a really good actor performance where they like steal the show kind of thing. So, and I will also preface this by saying I mad respect to Keanu Reeves. I do not think this brother can act. I do not think this brother can act in any way, shape, or form. I mean, let me stop there. Actually, in terms of action, I'll put him up there with Tom Cruise. Like in terms of like stunts, you cannot
in
knock
a different way.
In a very different way.
But yeah.
Because like he takes his craft super serious,
yes,
and like
he treats it as if it's an art.
1,000%.
He's really doing that stuff, bro.
100%. And all these actors that you see out here that are like winning their Oscars, those stunts they're not doing.
No,
at
all. So you gotta take that into account and realize, damn, like this dude is doing something super impressive. But when he opens his mouth to deliver a line, there was a couple times in the movie where me and Davi were like,
the audience as well.
The audience was just like,
everyone just kind of.
But this is why I low key think Davi's point, where he's like, it was written for Keanu Reeves, makes sense, because I think that like some of the stuff that he says, if it was any other actor, you'd be like, what?
This movie's garbage.
But then it's Keanu Reeves saying
it. You eye roll, but then you're like, all right.
Yeah, exactly. Like without spoiling, there was one scene where he's like, I'm gonna need a gun.
I was like,
and then you see anybody else say that, you're like, what?
But when he says it, I'm like, that shit's fire. That shit's fire. Let's go. Give this nigga guns.
It's like, exactly, bro. It's like when you have your favorite mumble rapper. Like you have your favorite mumble rapper and he comes on like and people are like, what the hell is this man saying? It's like, yo, it's hitting though.
It just works. It just flows.
It just flows.
Yeah.
100%.
So it's cool. No, but like this is the thing. In the past, I had seen him in like the Matrix movies and stuff, but I think this honestly is where he shines. So I was happy to see him shine in the whole franchise. So with all that being said, I thought there was a lot of really good action. I think the world that they build is dope.
Yes.
The John Wick world is crazy. That writing in itself is dope. Like that makes the franchise for me. So without going too much more detail, I'm actually pretty close to Andy's rating. I'm not gonna lie to you. I must be at like a 7.3 type. Yeah, I'm like right around there. Like, it was a good movie. You're gonna be entertained when you watch it.
Yeah.
Even if you're a guy like me who doesn't really go for action movies, like this is the type of movie that like action people love because it's like the pinnacle of action.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. So I can't complain about the franchise. I can't complain about the 4 movies that I watched. I'm happy with it. I'm better for it. So 7.3 is my rating.
Satisfactory or disappointing? Like the most basic rating. You leave there. Are you satisfied or are you disappointed?
No, I'm satisfied.
Okay.
I'm definitely satisfied because I honestly, because of the notion that I have of Keanu Reeves, I was going. They know I was literally like, yo, I don't want to watch these movies. You guys are gonna make me watch 4 of these things in a week?
He did not want to.
You know what's funny is I feel like that's every person who watches John Wick. That's
they
like the
have
initial reaction. You were the same way.
blockade,
I was the same way. It's just kind of like, bro, ain't no way. And then
Mm-hmm.
you watch it and you're pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
And it gets better.
Yeah,
as it
It
goes.
does get better.
The
For real.
series.
it does. And the thing is, the characters they add around the John Wick world are super interesting too.
Super interesting.
Yes.
So, and some of them only appear for like a one movie, and it's great though. Like it still adds so much to the story. So,
I can't wait to like get into the conversation with
Yeah.
you guys about
Yeah.
this, bro.
So,
David, go ahead.
yeah, I'll go as quickly as possible. Yo, in terms of, I'm already going into comparing the movie, but with others, but with Chapter 4, this was the best one out of the all three, in my opinion. Reason why is the supporting cast was freaking phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Of the way they bounced off each other, the world just worked so well. The chemistry with everyone was really well written, really well presented as well, and really well executed. There was a purpose for each character that was introduced.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is the best type of writing, when you have each side character have a purpose and fulfill those purposes.
Mm.
And they did that really well. Tops to everyone who worked on that part. And also, action is incredible. There was parts where I was sitting, Pedro, our friend, he went with us, and I was just dumbfounded. I'd be
Pedro's
like,
right here.
he's watching, and he's with us right now. And it's just, how are they doing this? You
Yeah.
know,
Sensational.
the action was, if you are a fan of action movies, man, this is peak.
Mm-hmm.
This is peak. And I know, like, if I go to rate this out of all the movies I've ever seen in the world, it'd be around where you guys are at. But in terms of action movies, this is a movie where someone's like, I want to see an action movie. You're showing them this.
Oh yeah. If
You know
were
what I
rating
mean?
Out of action
And with,
movies,
and with that being said, it's an 8.5 for me.
Hmm.
It is a very well executed film. It knows what it is. It does
Mhm.
exactly what it needs to do, and it elevates the world even more. And also, I was not expecting this film to be this good in terms of the scale, everything. I didn't, coming out of Chapter 3, I was like, I wonder how they're gonna do that.
like what next?
Yeah, like what's next? And it blew me away. It truly blew me away, and I loved it. I freaking loved it.
Yeah.
And with that being said, y'all, we're gonna get into spoiler talk. So, Abe, if you haven't seen the movie yet, go back, watch the movie,
Watch
and
it.
then come back and listen to our spoiler talk. Abe, cue us in.
Listen to my albums.
We now introduce the segment of this episode.
Spoiler time.
This section of our episode contains spoilers. Proceed with caution. We are not responsible for crying, complaining, whining, or any other side effect that may result from listening to this segment of the episode. If you believe you or a loved one is in danger of having this movie or show spoiled to you, stop now and immediately book your ticket for the next showing of this film.
Wow. All right. Andy, I know
can't wait to
I know
talk to
you
you guys
I know you can you've been so eager to watch this
But
movie.
here's the thing.
And you're a diehard, right? You know, how did you feel, coming out of this?
Well, here's the thing. I'm really curious. Like, I have questions to ask you guys
Mm.
about
Go ahead.
your opinions. You know what I mean?
You lead the way, man.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I will say that John Wick is a character that I identify with a lot. Obviously, he's a what's the word? Like an archetype of the action hero. Like,
Mm-hmm.
right? I think very tastefully done, but there's no depth in terms of, there's nothing like brand new being done in terms of the action archetype, right? He's just the guy who doesn't die and just fights and fights and fights and is badass, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's just like small things and details that I think what makes John Wick, and you guys tell me if this is my first question, if you guys agree with this statement, what makes John Wick shine and makes it, in my opinion, one of the best action series, if not the best, is one, it has that self-awareness if it knows exactly what kind of movie it is,
Yeah. it
right?
Yes.
And it goes, all right, if we're going to be this kind of movie, the stuff that we do, we're going to execute to the highest level.
Mhm.
All right, we want action, then we're going to take the action really, really serious. Not Fast and Furious action where some shit is going to fly here. It's just like, not spectacle, I should say, right? They don't take the spectacle serious. They take the action serious. You understand what I'm saying?
Treat it
There's
as
a difference between
as an art.
spectacle
Yeah.
and action.
Mhm.
They take, I've never seen a movie take so much,
It's
pay so much
choreography.
attention to reloading,
Yeah. Facts.
to the bullet count.
Mhm.
If you count the bullets, right? They say he has a 21 clip.
You can count
He's going-
21 bullets.
You can count 21 bullets, and he's going to reload.
Yep.
That level of attention to detail in the action genre, I've never seen anything be that attentive to detail ever. To those kind of details, they're usually very attentive to the spectacle. So to me, that's what makes John Wick really, really special as a series. And I'm curious as if that's something you guys noticed, like the storytelling through action. It's almost like, and they've progressed it. I think once they found their identity in the first couple movies, they kept ramping it up. But there's whole sections of the movies that have no dialogue because they're like, you know what? This is an action movie. We're gonna
give you an action
but
movie.
it's not just action, like pointless action. Just like there's a story progressing via action. I don't know if you guys agree with that. And I think I've never seen anyone do that.
There is a specific moment that I caught where you were saying, and it was with the nobody, the character, the guy that played nobody. Because you see that all his life, he's been targeting John Wick. He's been going after him. He's been following him, drawing him, because he's like, yo, I'm trying to kill him and get my bag.
Right.
But there was a moment where we saw in the action where the sympathy that he had for Wick, he had no sympathy for him. And there was a moment where he was like, wow, this guy is, he's not what everyone is talking about. He's not dangerous. There's reasons as to why he's doing all of this. And he saw that, and it was at that moment where he saved his dog. And you saw
For
from
no reason.
Yeah, you saw with the facial expressions, everything that he thought about Wick, everything that he had, the idea of Wick from him was thrown out the way.
Yeah.
And that was a moment that I was like, wow, that really.
But you know why he saved his dog. You know. Because this man,
yeah,
he knows exactly what it's like.
This nigga loves dogs.
He's like, bro, I feel this pain. Because I so funny, bro. I watched the first movie. And my girlfriend wanted to watch it with me because her dad's a big fan of them. So she was like, I want to see a reaction, whatever. But we didn't have time this week. So I was watching by myself. And then I texted her. I was like, yo, the dog in the first movie's so cute. And then 10 minutes later, this motherfucker died.
Yeah.
I texted her and I was like, yo, what the hell is this?
But you know what's
this film?
What's so amazing about this franchise is the continuity with that.
100%.
That's been a main factor from 1 to 4.
Yeah.
And you know,
But they know the place to put it.
yeah.
In each movie, like other series or other franchises might have forced it, like, oh, this is the theme, like we got to write a plot, or how are we gonna figure out another story with a dog that gets killed? You know what I mean? But they don't do that. They're like they find the right pocket for each movie that the themes should reappear. That's a theme throughout the series with any little detail.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, as I said before, I loved the supporting actors in this film compared to the other ones. I thought they added a lot more depth to the John Wick character, because our first notion of him is that he's a character who is alone. He lost his wife. But then you realize that there's people out there who still love him and who still care for him. And we saw the perspective of people who were impacted by his actions.
Right.
And how they were
In both ways.
In both, exactly.
Right.
Both ways. And I just want to, ask this question. What was that something for you that stood out to you? Was the supporting actors? Because coming out, that was a huge positive for me. A huge positive.
Absolutely. I had this conversation with Charlie a couple weeks ago, and something that John Wick, I think, did different than any other action movie, and it wasn't so much in the first movie, but I think they caught the glimpse of what they could do and expanded on. I don't know if, like, from the first movie they knew what they were going to do with the franchise, right? But assuming that they did it, and they, from my uninformed perspective, what they did, usually what action movies do, is to make the protagonist seem badass, right? We know that they have to get the point across that John Wick is a crazy savage killer, right? Like, they have to convince us, right?
Yes.
So what they usually do is they go the spectacle route, where they try to make him do the most crazy flips, like the Bruce Lee type shit, right? He's gonna do some spinning fucking whatever, right? But what John Wick did that is so unique is they said, what if we show him the world around him, like expand on the world around him and show his place in it, and that will show how crazy of he. So I don't know about you guys, as the movies, this is what hooked me. As the movies go on and you see people talk about John Wick, like, oh my God, what the fuck, right?
It's like everyone, when you're around him, someone's gonna die. Everyone dies.
But then
when
there's
you're with
code,
him. Yeah.
and then you see that this person reacts this way, and that person, but all of them, you notice how they react amongst each other. Seems
Everyone
like
has a reaction.
Yeah.
Too.
everyone has a reaction. They all have a reaction to each other, though. You have supporting characters interacting with each other, and you notice the difference between them and then how they react to John Wick.
Yes.
And it's little subtle things, right?
The one that sticks out to me is in the second movie when Winston, the manager, Santino, I think, is coming back, and he like gives him the marker, and he's like, "You have no idea what you did."
Right.
And he's like, "No, it's done. Like, this is what I had to do." And he's like, "You just stabbed the devil in the back, and now you're asking for it." And like that to me was the first like time that I was like, "Damn, everybody in this world, like, you have different reactions to John Wick, but the ones who know."
And you see in the first movies that they could have fell into the trap because they're like the Baba Yaga.
Yeah.
And they're doing all these things. And every action movie does that. Like, oh, this guy's so scary.
Yeah.
But what they did was they took their time. They were like, no,
Yeah.
we're going to build out this world and one by one show you his relationship with all these people and slowly develop this crazy ass, cool ass spies and like the currency that they're giving and all this stuff, right? And the markers. And we're going to develop this so slowly. And each level that you learn as an audience member, we're going to show that John Wick is that guy. You
It's
know what I'm
him,
saying?
yeah.
But they took their time. They didn't really like, he did some crazy move. I think as the series progressed, and this was one of my gripes with the movie, why I wasn't like as high of a rating, was as the movie progressed, I think the natural conundrum that they
It's to
found
show him as a superhero.
is like, yo, we have to make this more and more entertaining every movie, right? Like we have to like come up with some new shit that he does.
Mhm.
But for example, remember the pencil kill?
Yeah.
I thought it was brilliant when they talk, yo, he killed someone with the fucking pencil. And you're like, all right, you know, like every movie does that, right?
Yeah.
But then they show
Show it.
how he does it,
Yeah.
but they do it in a practical way. They don't do it in like some
Crazy magic stuff,
way. They like bring it down to earth. And I think John Wick is, this is one of my questions to you guys, is if you guys notice this, is John Wick, I feel like the series is spectacular at like grounding the action too. They part of as the third and fourth one, to me, they get more whimsical. Like the whimsical moments get more whimsical. I think because it's kind of like, bro, you know, you got to get more creative.
You gotta put more out there because people are gonna want more.
But I feel like as the audience member, I don't know about you guys, but it made me, I started to forgive it more than maybe I would with any other series in ways that I wouldn't, because you're kind of like, the other stuff is so tasteful that even the whimsical stuff, they kind of get it out the way. They're like, yo, he's going to drop out of this 7-story building and just live. And then he's going to do it again. And they do it so quickly and you realize like they just have to do it for the plot.
Yeah.
And they just kind of get it out the way.
It's
and
the
they're
plot.
like,
It's
all
the
right.
plot armor.
They don't try to like,
happens.
man, let's justify this
Yeah, they don't-
whimsical ass part.
They don't try to explain the whimsy.
Yeah,
too
they're
much,
just
you know what
like,
I mean?
yo, this is the whimsical part. And then
Yeah.
you're like, all right. But then the other parts that aren't whimsical, I feel like they take very, very serious.
Yeah.
Something that I talked to Charlie about was like, yo, you can watch John Wick problem solving in the action sequences.
Yeah.
Like in the third one with the action,
He's
where he's
gone.
like, oh shit, this isn't going to kill them. Like,
Yeah.
he and then he gets one guy through the neck and he's like,
Yeah.
and then you watch him adjust. You see his technique whenever he fights somebody. He's like, yo, I'm going to break their arm. You notice that that's like a repeating pattern.
And the grappling.
The grappling.
You know what I mean? He like whenever they're wearing like the armor and stuff, he has to flip them to get like the upper hand to be able to like get the headshot so that he can actually kill them, because otherwise he's just gonna waste bullets.
Relating that to the other characters, you'll see like the girl today that she stabbed. You see the difference where they learn too, but they learn well. You learn from like the lower level people. They try to learn and then they get outclassed by the henchmen, right? But then you see the girl, she learns, but she gets outclassed by this level. And then you see John, you're like, oh.
He's on a different
You
level.
see even the reloading, they do so well with the storytelling with the reloading, where he'll reload at the same time as other people, and you'll see, oh, this is why he's different. The scene, I think it's in the second one, where he reloads the shotgun on the guy's chest. Do you remember that?
Yes.
That shit like that, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
and he reloads like just throwing it together. Whereas what was the guy that died today? Spoiler.
No, you're good.
No, we're in the spoiler
I know,
talk,
I
so
know.
it's cool.
But who's the concierge?
Oh yeah.
By the way, that shit was
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it? They say his name in this one.
Yeah. I
But the
forgot.
concierge, right? You see him reloading the shotgun in the third one. He's
Yeah.
By the way, I love that guy. When he died, I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys reacted. I was
Yeah,
like,
Lance Reddick. passed
in
away.
Rest in
Sad,
peace
rest
in real life.
peace.
I was wondering going into this, like, what are they gonna do?
He was already.
That was already the
that
plot.
Was already the
Shit, this
plot
nigga
to
got
get him
clapped.
killed off.
That's crazy.
and it's-
It worked out, unfortunately, perfectly. You know what I'm saying?
it's,
R.I.P. to GOAT.
very sad moment, but I feel like his legacy is gonna be respected forever because what he put into this franchise
It's
is
irreplaceable,
yeah,
bro.
it really is.
His character was like, it brought so much to this franchise. I don't know how you felt. He was one of those characters you fell in love.
You love.
With. You're like,
You
I
love him.
love this
When they
guy.
get on
So I
screen,
think-
you're like, damn.
So-
I love this guy.
So the emotional level it even adds to the tragedy that occurred is it hits more because he gets killed off at the beginning.
Right.
And I was there like, wow, like this was already planned.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, to see that was
Yeah, it hit different.
mhm.
But like Andy said, I think he's one of my favorite characters in the
Side
whole.
characters.
yeah.
Yeah, he was that side character that his role is minimal, but whenever he has something to say or
Shines.
has like his moment on screen, like he really shines through. So, rest in peace, and I'm glad that he got his moments to shine in this franchise.
Absolutely.
All right, so starting with the end, John Wick supposedly or probably has passed away, maybe or not, we don't know.
Don't they have a John Wick 5 in production? When they announced 4, they announced 5. Was that trolling?
I have
don't
no
know.
idea.
I have no
They
idea.
announced 4.
So-
They announced that they were making 4 and 5 at the same time. That's
So,
but were they trolling?
but I don't know. But all right, I want to
You're
go.
usually the guy with the facts, bro. Give me the facts.
I don't know what that one. But with that third act, what do you guys think of the third act? Because I feel like with action movies, you always have to go out a bang with the third act, and I feel like this third
No
act
pun intended.
hit really well.
Yeah.
That whole stair sequence to get to the top, to get to your actual enemy while you're still fighting more enemies on top of that, was done really well. And I just want to know, third act, what stood out to you guys that you loved or maybe you disliked?
I really like that stair scene, like you were saying. I love the classic, like, John Wick movies, they have a formula to them, right? Like the bounty goes up, the contract is out, everyone's trying to kill him. Like that happens in every single one of the movies. But this one, like, obviously there's added stakes because they're trying to kill him before he can even get to his final like objective to fight, right? So I love that because I knew some BS was going to happen. I was like, this guy is not just going to be like, okay, accept the duel and I'm nominating this
1v1
dude.
for my life, bro.
Yeah, 100%. No, I'm going to put 40 bags on your head to make sure that you don't even get up
I
here.
almost pitched in, bro. I was like, yo, I still got some change
Here's
on
some
me,
money.
bro.
Yeah, I got 50 cents to put on, add to that. But that whole sequence I really liked, and I like that plot point. I'm going to tell you something I didn't love. I liked it at first, but then I thought it was overblown, was the overhead like maze shot where he's like going through.
It went on a little too long.
Too
It was
long.
super creative though.
It was dope.
I've never really seen anything
No,
like that.
but exactly.
It
Which
reminded me of the old GTA, remember?
100%. Yeah. It was a cool, like the third like person view perspective from it. Yeah. I thought it was really cool, but I thought it went on a little too long.
I agree.
It was like really like different vibe to it, and then I was watching it and I was like, it took me too much out of the John Wick world. Like I wanted to be more close to the action.
Right.
I liked that perspective for a little bit, but then I wanted to see more of the like intimate fighting scenes, because that's what I love seeing. I like the little details of him fighting and all the stuff that Andy mentioned of like he reloads like this because this guy's coming to get him, and then he shoots this guy twice to just get him off balance to go so he can punch this guy. Like that's the stuff that I really like about the John Wick sequences. So that was my little critique of how the movie approached that third act. But otherwise, I thought the third act was really good. You had multiple characters in the end that you were like, you all wanted them to win and you didn't see how they could, which I thought was really creative.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was really unique.
Yeah, because you got the blind guy who he
Kane.
has. Yeah, you got Kane who.
Not gonna lie though, I gotta say, not my favorite side. I think probably the worst side character in my opinion.
You think so?
Yeah, because that to me was them upping the spectacle. Like, all right, what else could we do that's badass?
It's fair.
All right, how about we get a blind hitman? And
Oh,
it's just
okay.
like, bro, this guy's gonna get clapped in the first 3. You know what I mean? Like, that was the one that I was like, you guys are gonna
It's a little
justify
too
a
much.
blind hitman to
I
kill.
thought
And why would the high table go? You want to kill John Wick. We've established John Wick is hard to kill, and he's John Wick.
Mm-hmm.
The high table, the people above the high table are gonna go, you know who we should get?
Let's get that blind.
Let's get the blind. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what the?
Well,
that
I
was
think
like,
when you say that, that's why there is a mystery to him, because it's, you know,
Like,
how is he
talented?
able to do this?
but he wasn't that.
How is it
badass.
even?
He wasn't like, whoa, what the hell was this?
I think he
thought
was.
he was
Like,
dope.
I think
He was
I liked
funny.
him. I
I'll
liked
give
him.
him
Yeah, he
that.
was funny. I didn't think he was the most badass that I've seen, but I actually enjoyed his character. And I liked I liked the stakes with him, because it was
100%.
like you wanted to root for him and his daughter, but at the same time, you've been rooting for John Wick this entire time. So pitting them against each other gives you that conflict.
Sure.
And then you got Winston, who has to back John Wick so that he can get his life back.
Yes.
And it's kind of like Winston's doing this supporting John, but he also has his own
Himself.
personal selfish reasons. So there was a lot of layers to it, which I enjoyed. And I thought that was good on the movie, because it could have just been like, John Wick is going again to fight this person who really wants to kill him. And like, great, but we've seen that in every single movie.
That's what I said. That this series does so well is they make it bigger than John, and then it makes John's place in the story seem much more valuable, because he's not just bad guy, go fight, boom. You know, it's like, whoa, there's an intricate, and John fits right here. Interesting, right?
And another question: there was a new character also introduced, Nobody, and I personally enjoyed him a lot. It's kind of like we got a younger version of John Wick, someone who spent their entire life looking for him, and now comes into battle against him. And it was, I don't know, I thought he was dope, and I just want to know you guys' perspective with him and what you thought about his purpose and how he came into the table. What I loved really well about this movie as well, again, was the emotional tone. I think they did really well with the emotional tone compared to the other films.
Facts.
There was just a lot more, again, the stakes with the whole brotherhood, that the connection that he had with other people was, I don't know, was dope.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think you said most of it, honestly. Like that character, I think he added another layer of things, like his little bit of mystery. And like to the beginning of the movie, you didn't really see exactly, you could see his motive, and like the motive was the money, but at the same time, you didn't exactly know where he was going to end up. Like you could see his sympathy for John and like him trying to help John from like kind of like the middle of the movie towards the end. So I was always curious to see where he was going to end up with all of that. At point, I think I still have to make up my mind on this, but I almost like, at one point I was like, is he just like a means to an end kind of character? Or like, is he just created to make sure that John gets to where he needs to go kind of thing? But with that being said, I did like the things that they
justified it enough.
They did.
You know
they
what I
did.
mean?
Yeah, they justified it enough. He had enough of his own like challenge with the Marquise and the
another
scene with the hand.
Dude, that
and
scene
like
was
him
that
cutting
was
his-
crazy.
That scene was
Yo,
incredible.
I was watching that thing. My girlfriend was like, Anna was like, no.
Yo, and by the way, John Wick, this series and this movie does it really well, where, you know, it starts to get kind of typical, and then they'll raise the stakes.
Yep.
And you're like, whoa. And they make it very personal. I've never put a knife through my hand and pulled it through, but they
And
make
I
it in
never
a way
will.
where you're really, it gives you a split second where you're considering, what would I do? And then you're like, oh, he's doing that, right? Just like when John cut his finger off. The movie will just make it real very quickly.
Right.
I don't know, that scene with Bill Skarsgård as playing Marquise, that scene specifically, I'm gonna say, it reminded me of the Joker. I don't know why. The scene where he
a little bit.
showed his creepy vibe. I'm like, wow.
I wish they laid into that a little bit more.
Yeah, that's
bit.
good. That's a good point.
But you know what? I thought about this as I'm watching. It kind of made sense that they didn't, because that craziness at the high table wouldn't have made sense, because the high table vibe and is very upscale. So this loose cannon ass guy, right?
Yeah.
It wouldn't have made perfect sense.
I think it's tough because
But you see that little bit of craziness though, and that makes you like, oh, okay.
I think it shows a villain who still has some sort of self-control with himself when it comes with that.
Because you can't be at the high table without self-control.
He had to have some experience to get to the level that he is now. And I think that's what they wanted to show.
But you can see this guy's pretty close to the edge. Like, this guy is like.
But there was moments where we saw his flaws, and it was at the end where he was a true coward. He could have literally just been, nah, kill him first, and then but he was like, no, I want to do it.
Nah, he was just straight up arrogance.
Yeah,
It was ignorance, arrogance. Like he was just like, I'm gonna be the one.
and then he's just,
That was so clever, bro. I did not see that coming.
I peeped because when I saw because one thing that we were talking about is like you see John Wick reload at the same time as everybody else, and he always gets it off first. So how come this time
He didn't.
he's the one who can't
But
get the shot off?
look at the great storytelling that like.
Exactly.
Look at the attention. What
Yeah,
other
that
action
in
movie
itself.
are we noticing shit like that?
That
right?
in itself is attention to detail because the people that know John knew exactly what he was doing. Like even Kane knew. He was like, damn, I really got that off and you didn't even whatever. Like you could see in his head he was thinking that. And then Winston, he was the one who was like, you're an idiot.
You're fucking.
He's like, he never
Winston didn't
shot.
even flinch.
Yeah, he's like, he knew as soon he's like, checkmate, bro.
Checkmate, bro.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was dope because, again, like you said, the attention to detail. You see exactly how John Wick reacts, and he has this little something up his sleeve to, get exactly what he needs to. Because there was no way for him to get out of that situation, keep Kane alive, and all of that without taking that bullet and saving that last one for Marquis. So that was dope.
scene was done incredible. It felt like a new Western.
Yeah.
It was paying respects to Westerns, and it just
Which was
the
dope.
tension of it was crazy. The steps when you would just hear no music whatsoever, no score.
I
and
like
just the
that in
footsteps.
these films, by the way.
That idea
love that.
was that direction was incredible, bro. I don't know if it was me. I was counting them.
You kind of
I was counting them. I was there.
And
One,
you count,
two,
right?
2, 3.
That's the thing. The attention to detail in this movie, bro, is crazy. Like when you watch John Wick back, and if you do a second playthrough or whatever, right,
Mm-hmm.
and you count the bullets, you'll be like pleasantly surprised.
I think
right?
what they
you count
do-
the steps.
yeah.
You'll be like it's those kind of details to me that they don't have to matter for the casual watcher. It's like whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
How good is the plot, right?
Mm.
But at the same time, they do a good job with the plot, a good enough job, right, for an action movie. They do a great job with the side characters, which they didn't have to do, like action movie archetype wise, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then these little details of paying attention to the reload. Was this person really standing like this when the camera cuts to this, right? Like little shit like that especially in action movies out of any other genre gets overlooked so often because they're like, we know what you're here for, right? This nigga's gonna punch this guy in the face and then it's over. You know?
It's the investment to keep the audience engaged.
So I wanted to gas that
That's
because,
like,
bro,
yeah.
that's the stuff that gets me excited about John Wick is this attention to detail that they don't do in totally left field. But because you mentioned the silence, something that's really unique about John Wick is it has its own imprint. The type of shots they use, the type of music they use,
Yes,
that's usually the hardest thing to do.
And the lack of music.
and lack of music.
I love the scene specifically when there was no music, because when there's no
They
music,
do that in
you can
every
ta-
movie, by the way.
Yeah, they
All
do
of
in
the
every
movies
movie. Yeah,
They've had scenes
when
where
there's
they don't
scenes
have
when they
music.
don't.
And it's brilliant.
Well, I don't know if this is the case, but someone can correct me. I feel like in scenes where there is no music, either a crucial character development is going to happen or a character is going to die.
Mm-hmm.
And
I can't. Yeah, I don't remember if that's exactly it, but there's
in this
a
movie,
big
that's
point
what I
that's
recall.
happening.
There's a big point as to why there's no music here, and you need to pay attention. And that's, again, it's the investment to keeping the audience engaged.
Yeah, I'm curious to know what you think, because one of the cool things about the series too, like a little side Easter egg, is that they pick music that I would never ever think
It's
to
dubstep.
pick.
It's
But
like
it's
it sounds
even
like
the dubstep that they pick is just like it's very unique.
Mm.
You guys notice that the music to these
Yeah.
movies, like there's no soundtrack that sounds like it. And it's either you love it or hate it. A lot of the movies, I hate the music, right? Not hate, but it's just kind of like I would never listen to this. Like I don't
Mhm.
see anyone. This has to be played in this movie because who the fuck would listen to this, right?
Mhm.
But it has an imprint, like it has an identity. By the second movie, you know what a John Wick soundtrack sounds like, right? And it's I'm curious to know what you think about it. If you like the music, if you like the music choices, obviously you like the silence choices, but do you like when a song comes on, do you feel like it's hyping you up? Does it fit?
I feel like it's a call to the audience, to I don't know. I feel energized when it's happening, if that makes sense. It's a moment where I'm like, oh wow, yo, this is crazy. I feel like it's more of an entertaining moment that they want to get at you, and it's with every movie. The club is very interconnected with everything.
And the club music is weird.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it
it's
is.
all mafia. It's all. I don't
But
know
it's
why.
cool 'cause it's like-
so. I don't know why they do it. I love it.
Yeah. Speaking on the imprints things, like they all in all of the movies, they have that like running through the crowd trying to kill somebody scene. Like it's always one of those.
Yo, what
Well,
about the
Common
scene
when
when they were in the Rotary?
Yeah.
Yo,
Or they're literally
Scene
going
was-
against the traffic.
Yeah.
Bro, choreographing that. Now that I haven't even thought about it.
yeah.
The fact that that was choreographed.
Crazy.
Period. Because that was a long sequence, bro.
Yeah.
And from start to finish, it all made sense. There's no like, all right, well, let's just jump to this part, right? It's
Right.
like each thing happens sequentially, and one guy he fights builds into the next, builds into the next. But by the way, I was thinking about like, bro, because you know he fights in one area, moves to the next one. I'm like, bro, whoever, like the city officials, just walking in after it's all said and done, when all the dust settles, just seeing this massacre that just happened. Like, there's got to be at least 100 dead people here. I'm like, this is crazy. This is like. I was just watching some American history stuff, and it's like, yo, the craziest shooting was like 50 people. I'm like, bro, have you watched the John Wick movie? Like, this shit just happened in 20 minutes.
Yo.
This nigga just killed 80
Yeah.
people.
Yo.
Like, it's nothing.
Y'all ever think about how John Wick, they don't have cops?
They don't.
No cops.
There's no cops,
Bro,
whatsoever.
cops
like-
are chalk. They look
I
at that
don't
stuff, and they're
exist.
like,
I
bro,
think the
I'm not
reason
going.
why is because they want to show that this is a world
They're
that
the law.
the
They're the
human
law.
world does not know.
Well,
This
there
a
is.
very
I lied. There's cops. The first movie, he has the
They
cop
do
that
have
comes to
some
the door, and he's like, "You working again, John?" He's
Yeah,
like,
and he's like, I'm not dealing with this
yeah,
shit.
yeah, yeah.
John
I
And
think
then
they
that's
just
that's
know
as
it's,
far as it
it's
goes.
an exclusive
Facts.
world that they don't touch.
By the way,
Right.
the world is so cool, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, it's
as just
dope.
as guys, just like
dope.
spies and like.
Yeah, bro. I want to go talk to the wine dude who's gonna sell me some guns. Like that shit's crazy.
shit's
Yo, what
fight,
about when
the
they took a
suits.
shot and then they're like, all right, they're gonna start serving. Nah, they go to the they go to the
Yeah.
swords, bro.
That shit's fire, bro. Or they're like, yo, when they do the imprint on his hand again because he rejoins the thing, and then they just take a shot after. I was like, what? This is the most badass shit I've ever.
Gas.
And then they pour alcohol
on it. Yeah.
on it. I remember I was in the theater like, nigga, what? Like, that's just so unnecessary, you know what I'm saying? And they just do it just like, yeah, fuck it. And it's just like, yeah, it's some badass shit.
True.
Love it.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
Oh my
crazy, bro.
gosh.
Nothing like it.
It's
I've never seen anything like, yo, tell me not. This is a question, you guys. Have you ever seen a series like this?
No,
a scene that's
Love
so
it or hate it?
A scene that's so
franchise. The
detailed.
franchise.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I see a
Franchise.
franchise that's so detailed to the choreography of the action and the stunts. It just goes to show the importance of it in action movies and the art of it. And John Wick is highlighting that. And I was reading, some statements, bold statements about this movie specifically. They were like, this movie is going to shape, action movies forever. It's gonna change the way we view action movies now.
Can you see that?
And
With
with
having watched it because it's all fresh
with
to you,
the
right?
stunts and everything,
Stunts,
yeah,
the storytelling, the world building.
I
I,
think
don't
it-
think you've ever seen
I
world
think
building
in,
like this.
in terms of.
I think that's key to the franchise though.
Mhm.
Because I think for people talking about the first, like this movie specifically, I think it's more the whole John Wick franchise
Yeah,
as a
yeah,
whole
yeah,
that's
for
doing
sure.
that versus this
This
specific
one
movie,
Mhm.
in my opinion.
It gives the exclamation point in proving why.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It did-
with everything.
Yeah, it did a really good job doing that.
But you
And
see this series being that impactful?
Yeah. Oh, dude, for sure. The
Because
thing is-
it made me believe in action movies again. I don't like you. Action is not my thing because it's usually so shallow and cheap and like it's-
exactly.
you know what you're here for, and let's just move past all the
Mhm.
other shit, right? I love story,
1000%.
but this one feels like they paid attention in ways that no other action movie has,
That's why.
and it made
it's-
me hopeful. I don't know how you feel. I'm genuinely curious because you just consumed it. So
Yeah,
it's like
no, for me, I'm with that. I think the exact same thing you just said, and I think that it's partly due to the detail that we talked about the action, and then the world building, like what they do with the world and the commitment that they have to like making the world bigger and more impressive and crazier each movie. That's what keeps me engaged, and that's what makes me like, damn, okay, if you're gonna lean into action as like a really large part of your film, then you need to make the world cool as hell.
right.
Mhm.
Because if not, then you're just gonna be watching dudes fight the entire time, and it's like, okay,
The bar is so high after this
Yeah.
movie too, with the
It
world
is
building
hard.
stuff
It
that
is-
any
it is
other
very
action
high.
movies like you gotta do something.
And we're
crazy
seeing
now.
that, the fans are loving it because it is performing well at the box office.
Yeah.
It did 8.4 million Thursday previews, which is highest for an R-rated film after the pandemic. And they're expecting it to open this weekend over 70 million.
Damn.
which is unheard of for a rated R film.
You know what their budget is or no?
I have no idea what their budget was.
When's the
But-
last time like an action movie did something like that? I
Top
might
Gun.
not be
Top Gun.
Top Gun debuted that big?
Yeah.
Top Gun saved movie theaters.
Yeah, Top Gun was
Really?
Top Gun saved
Gun was
movie
I
theaters.
didn't know
bro.
sales wise it did. I
Yeah,
know it was so
yeah,
respected. I
Yeah,
didn't know it
it's-
popped off.
Yeah,
like that.
it saved
Yeah.
movie theaters.
because people hadn't really like. I remember when Tenet came out, and we were all like, "Damn, like Tenet,
It's gonna be there.
he's gonna be the thing," and it really didn't do that
No.
great in theaters. And then Top Gun came out, and it was still like relatively quickly after the pandemic, and everybody went to go see it.
This
and
might
then,
be a silly question. Is Top Gun like action?
yeah,
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
I don't.
it is
Cause
action,
I've never.
action.
I'm still yet to watch it.
It's
Like shooter, boom, boom. This
It's
guy
air- it's
surviving.
flying.
it's a fighter pilot.
It's a fighter pilot movie.
But
film.
it is. It's about the fighting. It's not
It's about the flying of the planes and
Fly-
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Because sometimes
Not
that's
crazy.
the plot,
it's not like
but it's like
John Wick action crazy.
yeah.
You know?
It's
So
a
that's what I'm
different
saying.
type of
What's-
action.
What's
Different
the
type.
like? What's the last action, bang, bang?
Yeah, I
movie
mean,
that does this.
It's tough because like this is the category of action films. It's like you got like the Bourne films, you got like James
Yeah,
Bond,
exactly.
you got like John Wick, maybe like Kingsman.
I think the
Like,
the,
this
re-
is
the
the
most
same
recent
vein.
one that I can recall is Bullet Train. I think Bullet Train was one where the action was there, but
Not to this level
Not
and
to the
not
level
to a
of the-
franchise.
But
Yeah.
in terms of performance too, at box
No.
office, it didn't do.
No.
Bullet Train did well, but not what John Wick
Not
is
like
about to
John
do.
Wick's doing.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask before we kind of wrap up to you guys, which, and it could be this movie, but which was your favorite of the franchise if you had to pick a one?
What do you think?
For me, I said before it was Chapter 4.
Okay.
Chapter 4 hit really hard. I think the emotional tone that they brought, I think really made me put it high up on my list. I think I'd go 4, 1, 3,
Wow.
2.
Wow.
Wow.
I would never expect that.
Yeah, me neither.
Or I would switch. 3 and 1 are interchangeable, but I think 2 is my least favorite.
Interesting.
Wow. What's yours?
Probably 2,
I agree.
4.
That's your favorite, right? 2 is your favorite?
2 my favorite.
I agree.
4 maybe,
Hmm?
because maybe that's recency bias, maybe, right? And 3, 1. 1 to me is my least favorite because I think it was that movie where they hadn't figured it all out.
Mm-hmm.
Like these other movies have been so well put together. The first one, they were it was more of a typical action movie, but it set up just enough for the
Yeah.
rest, right? So
I agree with your order exactly. 2 is for me, 2 is the
Two,
pinnacle.
I think 2 is the best
Sensational.
one.
2 is the
Two
pinnacle, bro. Go back and watch 2 because if you haven't seen 2
I
in
watched
a
2
minute,
this week.
oh, you did.
I did.
the
And
action in 2 is like
The action in 2 is fire. The development of the characters, the things they bring into the world that you didn't know could happen was
Mhm.
dope. Like you get introduced to the marker, what a marker is.
Mhm.
Like that concept was brand new
Crazy.
to us.
Yeah, I think
We got
that's true.
you're right.
introduced-
It elevated the entire world.
Yeah, we got introduced to being excommunicado.
Yeah, that
Mhm.
was
Like,
like
what
some
that
crazy
means.
shit.
Mhm.
And then the fact that like, okay, you kill in the Continental, you're dead. And this man lets him go for an hour. Why?
Mhm.
And then it's
Right, right,
it's
right.
the biggest cliffhanger
Yeah,
of the franchise too.
100%.
So to me, like 2 was the best,
Best
like
movie.
from going to 1 to being like, all right, 2 is the staple and we know exactly what we're gonna do to this franchise.
100%.
That's why I
2
think
is
2
what
the best.
I think 2 is what labeled it as a franchise.
100%.
2 is what made it a franchise.
100%.
Yeah.
So I think 2, 4 because of the way they wrapped it up, and then 3, and then 1, just like what Andy said. The 1
Mhm.
was just the start, and then everything else came after, made the franchise.
Yeah.
Who directed it? Was it the same director?
Same
for
director all the
movies?
way through.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's his name? Because he deserves.
His name is Chad
Chad Stahelski.
Stahelski.
It's such a uniquely directed movie
He
too.
did-
Like
Yeah.
the way the shots are, it's just like the angles, the way they cut is kind of unique. It has its own flavor.
You
It's
can
really
tell-
hard to do, man.
And you
There's
can
so
tell,
many movies out there.
Mhm.
and you can tell that it's directed by the same director because this is the problem that I have with like James Bond.
Oh my god.
I,
Yeah,
I
you can
like
tell it's
I
all
do
different.
like James Bond franchise, but like I can't get up out of my seat to go watch the next new one because it's all different.
Yeah,
The
there's no
directors are different.
continuity.
The continuity is a little bit strange. Like the story
Yeah.
still continues, but it doesn't feel like the same type of film.
Yeah, I feel that.
So that's why I can appreciate this
That's
because
why,
they kept
yeah,
the same
yeah.
director and you get the
Yep.
same vibe all the way through. The
I think-
story kind of closes.
I think a big reason there's so much respect and love for this franchise specifically is the continuity and how everything it's been, working from 1 to 4. Everything is connected.
Mm-hmm.
And it's done really well, and hats off to the production team because they absolutely killed it with this film. And I want to say 2023, we've had a great start to
Oh
2023.
yeah, bro. It's been some good
I am
movies.
shocked how many. It's every weekend there's a movie for us to watch,
Mm-hmm.
and except Shazam.
All the backlog.
Except
is
for
finally coming
Shazam
out.
and Ant-Man, which was not good.
Uh,
But the
Yeah,
rest, I
facts.
think we got March alone.
Sidebar, since you mentioned Ant-Man, something that the John Wick series, I feel like we're all just singing praise. Sounds like I'm just riding John Wick's dick paws, but it's like they really like. I just want to give credit where it's due, because who would have thought we'd be sitting here talking about an action movie, putting attention to detail, storytelling,
Last week you would have
Come
had to
on.
put a gun to my head to do that.
right?
shit.
Like
He was
this
mad. He
movie
was
makes-
like, "Are
I
you
was tight.
serious?"
I was
this
not ready to do
franchise
this.
makes you believe, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I was gonna highlight something that pisses me off, man. Is I hate when the villain isn't actually intimidating.
Mm.
Give you an example. They hype up, this is the legend of 1,000 years. He's
King,
been training.
yeah.
And he's gonna beat everybody's ass. Well, I haven't watched Ant-Man or Ant-Man Quantumania,
Mhm.
but right, like this nigga has defeated worlds.
Yeah.
He has ended things with his eyelashes, just blinking and crushed the planet. And you're like, what the fuck? And then the hero comes along with the power of friendship and fucking squirts a water bottle, and this nigga's dead. You know what I'm saying? That shit pissed me off. But tell me, when I
facts,
saw the penguin-looking motherfucker today in the movie, the
Yo,
go-to,
oh my
I was like,
God,
this
yeah.
nigga's gonna be. I was like, oh, here we go, like finally like a whack ass villain, right?
Mhm.
Nah.
No, that nigga
was the
was
craziest
moving.
one,
That
bro.
nigga's hitting these kicks. I'm like, he's athletic as fuck.
When the man was hitting the inhaler, I was
He
like,
hit
we
him, I
have
was
no
like,
hope
this
for
is
this
a
dude.
whack ass. Tell me not. This nigga was wild. I was,
Bro, man, the amount of times
Damn.
he got shot and it just keeps getting
Kept
back
going,
up.
kept
I was
going.
like,
I was like, the hell?
for example, or like Common's character in the
In
second
Ch-
movie,
yeah,
where
in
like,
two.
this is a
Cassian.
real fight. Like
Yeah.
every,
Shout out
not
Common.
every person,
Mhm.
but they really did a great job of like, you could see the tier of villain.
Mhm.
The top villains really felt like, is John really gonna, right? The high table, whenever they get into the picture, you really kind of go,
It's like
oh,
when you-
something's different now,
Yep. Yeah.
right?
And,
And
also,
that's
yeah.
hard to do, and that's a detail that I don't think a lot of movies, period, do. Even like the antagonist in a regular drama, a lot of times it's like this bully and it's this, and then you meet them and you're like, this pussy. You know what I'm saying? But like, yes or no? Like,
yeah.
but
No,
John Wick,
know
I
exactly
feel
what
like
you're
is
talking
one of
about.
the very few. I feel like Marvel did it with Thanos, where Thanos was actually tough.
The thing about when you make a good villain is it's all about, and I think this is with movies in general and anything you do in a movie, you have to show and not tell. Because if all you do is you start hyping up the shit out of your villain before they even get on screen, before they do anything, you're creating this crazy expectation that most likely you're not going to live
Yeah.
up to that.
I feel what
So what you have to do is you have to
Show why they're.
show it. Like,
John Wick does that at the
Exactly.
beginning. They say he's the Baba Yaga. They have like those corny lines you're talking about, which
Mhm.
was a knock in this movie. There's a few of them where like,
mhm.
you know what I mean? But
They
after
back it up.
after they give those 2 or 3 bullshit lines that they gotta give,
Mm-hmm.
they're like, watch this.
Yeah.
And then you get
And he's
30
crazy.
minutes of
Yeah.
them showing, this
Mhm.
is exactly why. Not like kinda, he beat up this guy, but he could have done this different. Like, he does the most efficient move to get this guy. He doesn't do like some extra spin, right? He's
Mhm.
like, I need to get this guy out of here. Boom, one shot. Boom, on to the next. And you're like, oh,
when he takes
that's
this extra.
why he's...
Yeah.
but you know what I'm talking about? When the action hero, he could have just did this, but
Mhm.
he'll do like some... And you're like, bro,
Just
if
shoot
you're
him.
the Baba Yaga, you're not gonna do like 5 different moves where you're just gonna...
Yeah.
John Wick is like, if he needs one move to get rid of you, he does one move.
He'll
If he
do that
needs
move.
20
Yeah.
moves, he's gonna
He's
fight
gonna
the
do
whole
it.
way. And I think that's something that I wish we could take into other genres of movies. Like, if you have a antagonist, make that antagonist really like, make the villain really scary, man. Don't gas him up. Words are not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
It's like what that people at school, they talk big shit like, oh, this guy, man, he's the fucking guy,
Mm.
right? And then you meet him, you're like, this guy's a fucking nerd, bro. This guy's nothing. Or, how when they talk about all these rappers, they're like, yo, this rapper raps his ass off, man. He's does it, and then you listen to the song, and you're like, he's alright, you know what I mean? Like, he didn't
Yeah.
do anything spectacular, you know.
Mhm.
Thankfully, that's why I'm Drew Wick, because I feel like you guys
Said,
can
"I'm
talk
Drew
all your
Wick."
shit. You know what I mean? I don't talk nothing. You guys can listen to an Andio song, and it's like
Mhm.
you'll see. You know,
Mm.
that's not to make this about me and music, but you got me.
Hey,
man.
talk your
Yeah.
shit, Drew Wick.
But
Yeah.
like, yo, that's one of the things that's cost me my career is I don't talk shit. I don't do nothing. You guys know that firsthand, knowing
Yes.
me personally.
Yes.
I've never talked shit. I never do nothing. I get on the stage, and I do what I'm gonna do. Right? I get on a record. You guys know. You can tell me if it's whack, if it's good. You're not gonna hear me like, yo. You know what I mean? Yo, for 1,000 years I've been preparing this mixtape.
I love the
I would,
connection.
I would text you and be like,
"This is amazing."
that's
That's
not
whack.
it.
But if I play and it's hot, it's just hot, bro.
Yeah.
Like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I value that a lot in life, and I feel like John Wick is. This movie continued it.
Mhm.
That penguin looking motherfucker, whatever his name was a perfect example. The
Yeah.
guy that you love, the Nobody,
Nobody.
where
Yeah.
you see his tier. He's like, yo, they hype him up to be this tier of Hitman, and that's
And he
exactly the tier
targeted
he's at.
exactly. Yeah.
I love that, man. They director and the writers and the choreographers get kudos from me, bro, because that's tough to do, man.
I
It's
think-
little shit, but it's important.
I think it just goes to show that I think in Hollywood we need to honor the stunts, the stuntmen, and the people who work on this, because it just goes to show that it is a lot of work, a lot of choreography, and it takes time to do this. And we can see that there was a lot of love and heart to these specific action sequences that
100%.
we said.
They really
And
care.
They did care. And y'all, Andy specifically, thank you for joining us today,
Of
man.
course, man.
It
Appreciate
was
you
a
being here, bro.
great episode. And y'all, I will put details of Andy O and who he is in the bio. And we appreciate you guys hearing this or watching this. We love you guys. Subscribe, follow us, and we hope you guys have
For
a
1,000 years, we've been preparing this podcast.
literally
The
we
best
have,
podcast
1,000
on
years.
earth. If you tune in, your life will never be the same. We are the greatest podcast.
Andy, thanks for joining us. See you guys soon.
Thank you.